Welcome to the AUDL Take. This past Saturday would have been AUDL 2020 Championship Weekend. Unfortunately, there was no season this year, but wanted to kind of highlight that the official AUDL 2020 season would have been wrapped up by this time. And it's been sad once again not to have any Ultimate in any form, especially for the AUDL. But it's good to see kind of a look at the history of the AUDL in so many years, and this 2020 was going to be a big one. But just to show you now that we're done. This is now the official off season of the AUDL, and it was a tough year for sports in general, but I'm glad the show was able to kind of continue through it, talk about what was going on in the league, as well as entertaining you with players and breakdowns. And this episode's going to be no different. We're just going to do a quick little dive into some teams that have come and gone. This episode is going to be kind of a part of a new series called the Fallen Franchises, and this week we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Riptide. So why do I start here with Vancouver Riptide? Well, first of all, for me, I was a big fan of their jerseys. They had the nice blue and green with a nice little swoosh, a little circle right there in the center of the jersey. It was, I thought, a great logo, a great color scheme, just a fun team to watch play as far as just how they looked. And they were over in the West Division, which at the time when they were in the league was probably the toughest division. I mean, you had San Jose doing really well. Seattle was really at the top of their game. So Vancouver kind of just floated around the middle. I mean, there were times that team could really take on anyone, but overall their record was never super stunning. They had a great roster. These were a lot of Canadian players, players from Furious George, from USAU. So their quality was there. And this team, unfortunately, their last season really did not do so well. They went 1-13. And the owner group, which is the Lloyd LT Management, Sports Management, they had the team, they owned the team, and they were talking about possibly moving them to Portland in 2019-2020. Unfortunately, that still has not happened. I think that'd be a great city to have a ultimate team for the AUDL. But I feel like in Vancouver Riptide, they just weren't pulling in enough people, and they just weren't having very successful seasons. And I felt like they thought another market could be more profitable and accessible to fans of the AUDL. There were a lot of great players that came through the Vancouver Riptide, but one player that really stood out for me is someone who I didn't really know till the AUDL, which is, if you've watched the show, I really don't know a lot of people until they come into the AUDL world. But his name was Darren Wu. I believe at the time when he played for Riptide, he was just turning 18, coming off juniors, playing for Canada, and this kid was amazing. He made spectacular play after spectacular play. He never gave up on a disc. Some of the things he did just seemed off, not even possible. I'm at a loss for words. He had a great play against Seattle where he literally jumps backwards somehow, bends around the player, catches it, and stays in bounds. He skied over 3 people. He's not particularly tall or a really high jumper, but his timing and just his will to catch the disc, I mean, he would never give up. There was plenty of times where he would be on defense, the play wasn't even around him, but he would just start running to make the play, and sure enough, he'd get there and do it. So he had countless highlights. I'm sure we'll be showing him here in Vancouver. It was a great place for Darren Wu to kind of really show off what he can do, and I really was thankful to be able to actually experience watching him play for a team that I really enjoyed for how they looked, and also just to experience what this player could actually do. So in the world of the AUDL, especially so early on in our history, there are just teams that come and go, and I feel like Vancouver Riptide was a team that I thought had great management. The players were great. They just couldn't seem to get a lot of wins. But as we've seen with like the Detroit Mechanics, winning isn't everything. You just need to get people to come to the games, have fun, enjoy the environment, enjoy the spectacle. And I think Vancouver, they just didn't have that attendance that they really wanted, and I believed they thought they could get the same amount of players, the same group, if not a mixture of some new players, by moving to Portland and maybe having a bigger market to work with. I don't know if that's true, especially nowadays with what's going on in Portland. It's hard to say really if that's a smart move to bring a new franchise and try to start a whole new sport franchise there in that city, but I think it's still an option. I think that's what the management is still looking to add some more teams in the West. But it was a great team. I would highly recommend going and looking at their jerseys throughout the years. I thought they were great. Like I said, I was a big fan of the color scheme. And some of the players were great. They also participated in a lot of the mixed events with Seattle. So they were right there in the forefront of what I think AUDL could be capable of mixing in with the mixed kind of ultimate, and also just breaching into Canada as well. I think having more Canadian teams is just really important for the AUDL as far as, or as well as hopefully into Mexico. But I just wanted to bring up a team that I was a big fan of. I was sad to see go, and there's plenty of teams that I'll be talking about in this series, the Fallen Franchises. But be prepared too as we move into 2021. It really is kind of up in the air as far as, will we still have the same teams from last year? Are we still going to have a Boston franchise that comes in? So with the AUDL and just how tough it is to really run a sports team for a sport that's still up and coming, there's a lot of risk involved, and I think a lot of these people jumped in early, like the Vancouver Riptide, and they just realized that there was a better market somewhere else and they could maybe be more successful. So there's going to be a lot of them. I think the next one I'd like to be talking about is the San Francisco Flamethrowers in my next Fallen Franchise episode. But there are so many teams that have come and gone, and for many different reasons. And Vancouver Riptide, I think, was just a place where I think they could have stayed and become moderately successful, but the ownership saw that a different city might have been the better choice. And that was the end of the Riptide. And honestly, I miss Darren Wu. He was an incredible player to watch. I know you can still watch him in other realms, but he was incredible for the Riptide, and I'm super glad that team existed so that I could actually get to see him play. If you like the show, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it if you possibly can. The more exposure we get for this show, the more I can build it and make it better each and every week. So thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you all next time.